Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome to another time of Bible teaching. We're back into the book of Revelation. I know this video came out a little later than it normally does, but I never promised I'd have a Revelation Bible study every Friday. But it's a little later than I wanted to get it out. Just been busy. And we're back in Revelation 12, and I'm telling you this. We're picking up in Revelation 3. If you haven't seen the last video in Revelation 12, verse 1 and 2, go back and look at it. Because Revelation 1, about appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon at her feet. That's back in Genesis. That's where that gets taken from. And it's about Israel. Revelation 12 is primarily in the middle of tribulation. And we see that, actually, let's open up our Bibles to Revelation 12. And we see that in this second verse, that she being with child, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. This is birth pains. No wonder it sounds weird. Let me change this a little bit. And being with child, she cried out in labor and in the pain to give birth. Hadn't given birth yet, but this is birth pains. This is tribulation. If this was the rapture in Revelation 12, it would be a mid-trib rapture, and it's not. So please go back and check out the video from verse 1 and 2 before you watch this one. All right. So and then another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon. Ooh. Having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 diadems on his heads. Let's go down. And who is this dragon? Verse 9. So the dragon was cast out, that serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world, and he was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. This is where Satan is cast out of heaven to earth. And Satan has had the ability to travel between heaven and earth all along. I know there's somebody out there saying, wait, Dave. He was cast out back in Isaiah a long time ago. Let me find that verse. Give me a second. That didn't take long. I just had to put Lucifer. How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. How you are cut down to the ground, you who have weakened the nations. In Hebrew, this is a prophetic perfect tense of a verb. And the verbs in Hebrew can be very tense. And they can tell you different things that you do not get in the English. And a prophetic perfect tense of a verb is that this is actually prophecy, but it is written as if it has already happened because the fulfillment is that assured of happening. How do I know this? I have a teacher who teaches advanced Hebrew. Now, I've got customers who are Orthodox Jews who read the Quran. No, they do not read the Quran. They read the Torah, and they read the Tanakh. That's actually what I meant to say. They read the Tanakh in Hebrew, but they can't pick it out. But they know what I'm talking about. So anyhow, let's go back. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. So let's come back up here. He's going to get kicked out. He hasn't quite got kicked out here, and we're probably only going to make it to Revelation 6 today. We've got a lot to cover. I want to touch here on the horns and the 10 horns and the 7 heads. And we're going to look at this from 2 different ways. And I'm going to explain the first one to you. And this is what my teacher actually teaches. I see it something different. It's one of the few things that we see differently, and that's okay. He would teach that we are in Rome right now, because as you would see, if you understand the 4 beasts of Daniel 7, it is Babylon, the Medo-Persian Empire, Greece, and then Rome. You get the same thing with the statue in Daniel 2. Babylon, Medo-Persian Empire, Greece, and then Rome. And then you actually have that again, although you don't have it spelled out so much by nation, but you have the same thing in Joel 1 with the locust. And each locust does a little more damage or a lot more damage, as the case may be. And he would say that these 10 horns are 10 countries that will come out of Rome. And this is where you get the whole thing of a revived Roman Empire. And we will see in a little bit that there's a little horn that pops up and it displaces 3 of them. So 10 minus 3 gives you the 7, and that's why there's seven crowns or diadems. And that's basically how he's going to approach it. I have a different way of approaching it, and I'm going to teach my way, but I thought I would throw that out. And you know what? You decide. And you know what? I am not 100% like dogmatic about what I say as being correct, but I think it is, and that's why I'm going to teach it. And you know what? When after the rapture and we're up in heaven and we're looking down about midway in tribulation, we'll know for sure who was right. All right, so let's go down to Daniel 7. Actually, we're going to go to Daniel 12 first. I'm going to show you something. We just touched on this on another video. We looked at some timelines and things. But Daniel 12:4, and this is really cool. But Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book until the times of end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. A lot of people say that have always said trains, planes, automobiles, rockets, space shuttles, whatever, and then computers. And all that is just increasing at an incredible rate. I don't think so. See, the topic is the words that are being sealed up, the prophecy. And many people are going to and fro all over the world, sharing knowledge and information. And it's the knowledge about the prophecy that is unfolding. See, Daniel's words were sealed, and it's the book of Revelation that opens them. And that is the beginning of opening them, I should say. And it's really cool, even watching, because this YouTube channel, I mean, there's lots of YouTube channels and lots of Facebook pages that you could point to and say, this is an example of this. But I have people watching, and I praise God. I thank him. I couldn't do this. It's him. It's the Spirit. But all over the world, oh my goodness. Recently, first person from Indonesia, a couple more from South America, a couple from Australia, France, Germany, England. I know I'm leaving people out. People in South America. Last week, someone told me they were from, what is it called again? Papua New Guinea. It's just amazing. This is this verse. But it is the book of Revelation that opens it. And a lot of Revelation is explained by Daniel. So let's go, and we're going to be in Daniel a lot tonight. Let's go to Daniel 9. I need to make sure I'm following my notes. Yeah, Daniel 9. Daniel 7, I'm sorry. Daniel 7. Okay, this is my second time recording. I recorded it this morning, and I just felt like it didn't really click, and it didn't really flow as well as I wanted it to. Verse 19. And understand, again, we've had 3 beasts explained so far. There was the first one, which was a lion. The second one was a leopard. And the third one was a bear. And the fourth one is diverse, and it's unlike any of the other beasts. All right? So we're going to pick up at 19. And then I wish to know the truth about the fourth beast, which was different from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, with its teeth of iron and nails of bronze, which devoured, broke into pieces, and trampled the residue with its feet. That's a lot of destruction. And the 10 horns were on its head. And the other horn, that's the little horn, This little horn, the church sees as the Antichrist. Jews see it as Hasatan or Satan, and it's both. Because in a minute, we're going to see that this is the second half of tribulation where Satan has been thrown down to earth and he is going to indwell the indwell the Antichrist. And that's when like the false prophet will start doing miracles like calling down fire from heaven in the presence of the Antichrist. That's when the Antichrist gets some real power. Now let's keep moving on. Before the 10 horns that were on his head and the other horn which came up before which 3 fell, namely that horn which had eyes and a mouth, which spoke pompous words, whose appearance was greater than his fellows. Horns, I should mention, are known for power. So it means it could be rulers, kings. They're known, horns are prophetically just known like for power. I watched, and the same horn was making war against the saints. And what are saints? Saints are just people who are set aside, people who belong to the Lord, and was prevailing against them until the Ancient of Days came and judgment was made in favor of the saints. That would be Armageddon. So the judgment was made in favor of the saints of the Most High, and the time came for the saints to possess the kingdom. So this is when Messiah sets up his messianic kingdom, when he will reign from the throne of David in the midst of the children of Israel in Jerusalem. This is when the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. And if you went back to Daniel 2, and we'll never make it through this video where get the 4 verses, and I want to get in tonight if I go there, so we're not going to Daniel 2. But you'll see at the end, there is a rock or a stone that is cut without human hand that hits that statue in the feet, and it all comes tumbling down. These are all of the Gentile entities, Gentile powers throughout time. It all falls down and blows away, and there's nothing left. That's the end of the Gentile rules, the Gentile nations, the end of the times of the Gentiles, which is the Armageddon, which is what we're seeing right here. Interesting thing, you know how Messiah said if you have faith like a mustard seed, you can throw, actually, let me find it. Okay, here's what I wanted. Matthew 21:21. So Jesus answered and said to them, assuredly I say to you, if you have faith and do not doubt, you will not only be able to do what was done to this fig tree, but also you say to this mountain, be removed and cast into the sea. Well, the sea represents Gentile nations. And notice Messiah is not encouraging us to have faith games with each other and see who can throw mountains the furthest. He's not telling us that with faith we can rearrange the landscapes. Notice it's this mountain. To this mountain, not any particular, not any, it couldn't be just any mountain. It's this mountain. And they're standing on the Mount of Olives looking at Jerusalem when this is said, and that's where the temple is, and that is Messiah. Let's get another little context here for the stone that is thrown, that's cut without human hands. It's in the tail end of Genesis. There's a prophecy. Prophecy in Genesis? Oh yeah, there's a lot of prophecies in Genesis. Anyhow, the verse 25 is what we came for, or 24 is what we came for, but I want to start and give a little context. And Jacob called together his sons and said, gather together that I may tell you what shall befall you in the last of days. Now, obviously, in the last of days, the end times, his sons are not going to be alive. This is the remnant, or not the remnant. This is the the line, the lineage of his family, and where it's going to, each one of these sons' families and what's going to happen to them. So in 24, we're looking at Joseph's line. And we're just going to go to this down here. From here is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. The shepherd is Messiah. Messiah is that stone that's cut without human hands, that at Armageddon is going to strike that statue in Daniel 2 and it all comes tumbling down. A little rabbit trail. Apparently people like them. But I just thought I would put that together for you. So let's keep reading. Thus he said, so he's explaining about this fourth beast. The fourth beast shall be a fourth kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all other kingdoms. It shall devour the whole earth and trample it and break it into pieces. Did Rome ever conquer the whole earth? No. Now you can make the argument that Rome conquered the known world. But this says the whole earth. It makes me think. The 10 horns are 10 kings. So see the horns, kings, power, who shall arise from this kingdom. So is it arising from Rome? And that's where you get the revived Roman Empire. That's where that comes from. The 10 kings are 10 kings who shall arise from this kingdom, and another shall arise after them. So there's another kingdom that comes after them. Okay, let's keep going. Excuse me, that's the other horn. My apologies. And he shall be different from the first ones and shall subdue 3 kings. That's the little horn, and that's the little horn that subdues 3 of these 10 kings. He shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High, shall intend to change the times and the laws. Wait a minute. That's Torah and the appointed times of the Lord. Why is he going to come and try to do that if Messiah already did it? Because that's what most of the church believes, that Messiah changed the appointed times and the law. Why would Satan come and try to do that if Messiah already did it? Or a better question, why would Messiah have done it if it's a prophecy for Satan? Yeah, he didn't. Then the saints shall be given into his hands for times, and half a time. So there's the second half of tribulation. But the court shall be seated, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and destroy it forever. That court that's being seated is the great white throne judgment. And Satan's going to get locked up for the rest of the 1,000 years. The Antichrist and the false prophet are going to get thrown into the lake of fire. They're the first fruits of the... you know what? I got to stop and rewind a second. Yep, no, this is Armageddon. And at this point, this is not the great white throne judgment. My apologies. Okay, it is Armageddon. It's where the Antichrist and the false prophet will be thrown in the lake of fire, and Satan will be locked up for 1,000 years because he's going to get let out later. I don't understand that one. I just don't. That's okay. It doesn't mean God's wrong because I don't understand it. Then the kingdoms and dominions and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heavens shall be given to the people, the saints of the Most High. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. Doesn't that sound familiar from somewhere? And all dominions shall serve him and obey. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. What does that sound like to you? Can you place it? Go to Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 9. Somebody's out there. Yeah, I remember. Isaiah 9. Down in like 6 and 7. Yeah, exactly. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. Do you know that the child and son are 2 different things there? The child is a baby. That's Messiah being born almost 2,000 years ago. The son is a son of somebody. He could be a man, a young man. And the government shall be upon his shoulder. That's the second coming. That is not the first coming. And his name will be called Wonderful Counselor. If you have an eraser, you can just sort of erase that little comma. It's not there. It's a Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father. That's actually very bad translation from the Hebrew. From the Hebrew, it would be better translated as Father of Eternity. Messiah is forever, both sides. Has no beginning, has no end. Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there will be no end. Hallelujah. Upon the throne of David and over his kingdom, to order it and establish it with judgment and justice from that time forward, even forever. How long is forever? It's forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. So, that's an end times prophecy, Lord of hosts. Let's go back. And actually, at this point, we've read through this, and now we want to see the counterpart to this, what I think is the counterpart. So let's go to Revelation 17. We'll start down in 7. This woman drunk with the blood of the saints. I don't want to I could spend an entire teaching in 17, and we'll get here eventually. The woman represents a false religion, a false religious system. Actually, go to Matthew 13. We'll go there real quick. Matthew 13, the first 4 parables. Now, the abomination of desolation. No, I'm sorry. The grieving of the Holy Spirit has occurred. The Pharisees, the corporately have rejected Messiah, saying that his power comes from Beelzebub, Satan. And Messiah has just cast a demon out of a man who is deaf, can't hear. And they knew that only the Messiah could do that, because you would talk the demons out. In Acts, you actually have itinerant Jewish exorcists that were casting out demons in the name that Paul teaches. Let that one sink in for a minute. Itinerant or traveling Jewish exorcists that were casting out demons in the name that Paul teaches. That's funny. Anyhow, so they knew it was Messiah. The crowd did. The Pharisees and Pharisees and sages got indignant and said, no, you're doing that by the power of Beelzebub. Messiah starts talking in parables so that he doesn't have to save people. The first parable is the parable of the sower. In here, he explains that the seed that fell on the wayside, and then in the explanation, he said that the birds ate that seed. The seed is the word. And then you have the parable of the sower explained, the wheat and the tares. Well, the seed grows up in the wheat. The enemy, Satan, sows tares in with it. It looks like wheat. It's just that the tares, the fruit is black and poisonous. So think about your church that you walk in on a Sunday and look around. Wheat, tare, definitely tare, wheat. No. Messiah does the judging. We don't. But in your church is wheat and tares growing up next to each other. Parable of the mustard seed, the little seed grows up to be really big. And notice all of these things he's talking about. The kingdom of heaven is like. The kingdom of heaven is like. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like. So these are all end times things. Where am I getting to here? Give me a second. And here it says that the birds, and birds have already been described as Satan, will come and make nests in its branches. The last one, the woman. I was thinking, why did I come here? Another parable he spoke to them. The kingdom of heaven is like leaven. Leaven is pagan idolatry. It's not following God. It's not good. It's really bad. And once pagan idolatry gets into some of the meal, it spreads, it puffs up, it infects everything. So the kingdom of heaven is like leaven, which a woman, no offense women, it's nothing personal, took and hid in 3 measures of meal till it was all leavened. Well, this meal, right here, the meal came from the word, which was the seed, grew up into the wheat, and became this meal. And by the time Messiah comes back, by the time the kingdom of heaven is here, it's all going to be filled with leaven. But the pagan idolatry is the woman, and that's the false religion. Um, the how do I word this? If you look at Baal, the word Baal, and I'm getting way off track. You notice whenever Israel is off like worshiping prophets of Baal or another religion, it's called adultery. That's because Baal should be this one. Let's see if we can find it. What does it mean? Oh, and I'm not finding it here. Give me a second. Here we go. It's a similar word, the same word. This is still Baal, Baal, owner, husband, another husband. Israel was originally wed to Messiah, and they went out with another husband. That's why it was adultery. So let's go back and get back on track here. We're in Revelation 17. And here we go. And the angel said to me, "Why do you marvel? I'll tell you the mystery about the woman and the beast, and beasts are governments. That carries her, which has 7 heads and 10 horns. And all of these beasts are going to have 7 heads and 10 horns, and we're going to see it over and over. The beast which you saw was and is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And those who dwell on earth will marvel, the names who are not written in the book of life. So if you are written in the book of life, you know who they are. And from the foundation of the world. And this is like way into tribulation at this point. When they see the beast that was and is not and yet is. Here is the mind who has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains. Mountains are kingdoms on which this woman sits. Now I've heard people say, yep, that's Rome. City of 7 hills. I've heard people say it's New York City. 7 boroughs. Oh. Let's keep reading. So sometimes they'll read this and they don't read the next verse. They are also 7 kings. See, kingdoms, I told you. 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not come. So, which 5 of those mountains or hills in Rome fell? Yeah, they did. The way I see this is the 5 are places that had Israel in captivity or had dominion over Israel in some way. And that would be Egypt, Assyria, 2, Babylon, Medo-Persian Empire, and Greece. Those were the 5 that were. These are your 7 heads. The one that is Rome. So there's another one that comes after that. So what is the next greatest empire after Rome? Before we answer that question, think about it. Let's go to Revelation 13. The first beast. There's 4 beasts. I'm sorry, wrong place. The beast that comes up out of this is the, this is the Antichrist who's indwelled with at this point, with the Antichrist. And he has 7 heads and 10 horns. And on the 10 horns, 10 crowns. On his head, a blasphemous name. And now the beast, which I saw, was like a leopard. His feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth was like the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him power, his throne, and great authority. And I saw one of the heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world marveled and followed the beast, so that they worshiped the dragon and gave authority to the beast. All right. Who's the one in, okay, this is the lion, leopard, bear, which is the same first three that we see in Revelation, Daniel 7. We know that that fourth beast is an end times player because the little horn is going to be, the saints are going to be given to his hands for 3.5 years. It's an end times player. I believe the first three are. I believe this is double prophecy. Yes, it's Babylon, Medo-Persian Empire, Greece, and Rome, but it's more than that. It's a second prophecy, with the Antichrist kingdom being the being the fourth beast. I believe the first three are end times players too. And you'll notice here that it is the lion that has the mouth of a lion. It's the mouth that's speaking these most boastful things. It's the mouth that's in charge. Out of the three, lion, leopard, bear, it's the lion that's in charge. So what's the next greatest empire? Well, it's Great Britain and the United States. The United States is the daughter of Great Britain. Not going to spend all the time going there. But if you look, if how do I word this? If England is Babylon today, the United States is the daughter of Babylon. And there are verses all through the Old Testament you can look at about the daughter of Babylon. I believe that we are the ones that get destroyed. We are the ones that led the world astray. All the things that you see in Revelation 18, and eventually we will get to Revelation 18. Give me a second. And especially when you consider the Rothschilds, the Bank of England, the financial control there, controls over the UN in New York. Oh my goodness, it goes on and on and on. Let's go back to Revelation 17 and pick up where we were. See, the five that were, Rome was the one that is, and the one that comes after it's the next greatest one. I lost my place here. I'm sorry. Give me a second. Here we go. The 10 horns you saw are 10 kings that have yet to receive, who have received no kingdom as yet, but they will receive authority in 1 hour as kings with the beast. So the beast is the eighth. So we have five that were, one that is, one that'll come, which is the seventh, and then there's the eighth. That's the Antichrist kingdom. So these 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have received no kingdom as of yet. So they can't be countries that are here today. But they receive authority for 1 hour as kings with the beast. So they receive their authority as kings in these countries along with the Antichrist kingdom. Does that make sense? I think I know what they are. Here's my opinion. And you know what? When I look for this today, I have trouble finding it. 10 years ago, boom, pops right up on the internet. The New World Order. I don't teach this stuff generally, but you guys know what I'm talking about. 10 kingdoms. And this was in books and in plans going back to the 20s or the 30s. And they've talked about trying to break up the world into 10 regional governments. And this is just one of those maps. And I don't want to spend a lot of time in this, but this is what I believe the 10 horns are, the 10 kings that have yet to receive a kingdom, that receive their power, their kingdom, along with the beast in the Antichrist kingdom, which will come out of the United States, Great Britain, and the whole westernized kingdom that's in the world today, that seventh beast or seventh kingdom. I hope that makes sense. Kind of hard to explain this. They are of one mind, and they will give their power and authority to the beast. These will make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them. Armageddon, the Lamb overcomes them. Same thing we're reading in Daniel. For he is the Lord of lords and kings of kings. And those who are with him are called chosen and faithful. And those are the resurrected and raptured saints. The raptured and resurrected saints that will be coming back with him. I wanted to come to this verse too, just to show you something else. Then he said to me, the waters which you saw where the harlot sits, and she sits on many waters, that was at the very beginning of this verse, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. So when you see waters, it's Gentile nations. Okay, let's go back to Revelation 12. And you have two different possible interpretations of what the 7 heads and 10 horns are. And people keep saying that it's, when for the 10 horns, when the EU came about and it had 10 countries, everybody's like, that's it. Everybody takes like the Germanic tribes or the tribes, and couldn't even give you the names of them, that came out of Rome, and tries to take them and see where they went to, that those are the 10. They devour the entire earth, this fourth beast that devours the entire earth. These kings probably take over the entire earth. And they don't get their power until the Antichrist is here. The beast is here. That's when they get their power. That 8th one, the one that comes after the 7th. So we're going to go back and we're going to look at the next part here. See, and that's Satan, the devil, the dragon. His tail drew a third of the stars from heaven and threw them to earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth to devour her child as soon as it was born. Hadn't been born yet. Just getting my bearings here. Give me a second. Okay. I'm just going to keep going. So this is the 1/3 of the angels are going to get thrown out. Stars, and especially in the book of Revelation, are referred to as angels. Angels, especially in the book of Revelation, are referred to as stars. These are 1/3 of the angels who have fallen. They're going to be thrown out of heaven. And the dragon stood before the woman. I gotta hold on one second. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth to devour her child as soon as it was born. And we talked about this in the last teaching. This child that's being born is Messiah, but he's being born into the hearts of Israel during the birth pains. This is before they go off to Petra. And we'll talk about why Petra. Because what do they have to say? They have to repent. They have to come to Messiah, and they have to say, that's right, Matthew 23, down near the bottom. You will not see me again. This was what Messiah says of the Jews. You will not see me again until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. If for any way possible, if Satan can get it so that the Jews never say that, then Messiah can't come back. And I've had people say to me, well, he's God and he can do whatever he wants. Well, he can't be a false prophet. He cannot lie. So that's what has to happen for Messiah to come back. So Satan is going to try to wipe her out, try to stop her, Israel, from accepting Messiah, from repenting. And we know that 1/3 of Israel will do that. All these things are just running through my head and which way to go. Um, let's keep going on. So she bore a male child. Now, a lot of people say, there's the church getting raptured. No, no, no. This is the middle of tribulation. This is in the birth pains. This is a male. Guys, we're the bridegroom. We're the bride. We're female. It's a female that gets raptured. Anyhow, she bore a male child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up to God and his throne. It's Israel's child. This is definitely Messiah here. This is basically saying, yeah, that child. This is Messiah who was born 2,000 years ago. That's who is going to be born into the hearts of Israel. Rule with the throne of with a rod of iron. Where does that come from? Go to Psalm 2. The book of Psalm, verse 2. We're just going to skip down. Normally I come to the first part. Yet I have set my king on my holy hill of Zion, and I will declare the decree. The Lord has said to me, you are my son. Today I have begotten you. Ask me, and I will give the nations for your inheritance, and to the ends of the earth for your possession. You shall break them with a rod of iron and dash them to pieces like a potter's vessel. Messiah is going to rule with a rod of iron. And the woman has the and we just keep going. Satan has not been thrown down yet. Israel has now repented. Anyhow, then the woman fled into the wilderness where she has a place prepared by God that she should be fed for 1,260 days. So we know that she's going to go in, and I've got notes. They're not in my notes. They're in my Bible. So I need to open my Bible up. So I might be looking down a little more like this. I apologize. I should have written them in there. It's easier to look over there. So we're going to look at why Petra. I say it all the time. Petra is an area. It's wilderness, and it's also mountains. It is an area that is in today Jordan. Most people would be familiar with it from the Indiana Jones movie when there's that big race and they're going through the valley and there are like all these caves and everything. There's actually like accommodation. It's a tourist area today. There's like accommodations for 250,000 people there. But it's in Jordan. And understand before this happens, Psalm 83 is going to happen. And Jordan is one of those countries that's going to be taken out. And it will be in Israel's possession at this point. All right? I think that's all I wanted to touch base on before we get started. So let's first go to Matthew 24. So this says that they're going to be going to, what is it? A wilderness. Let's go to Matthew 24. Yep. Matthew 24. And this is verse 15. Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken by the prophet Daniel, standing in the holy place, whoever reads, let him understand. Let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let him who's on the housetop not go down or take anything out of the house. I just thought I'd explain that one real quick. Back in Messiah's day, the houses were so close together in the city, you could get housetop to housetop to housetop to housetop all the way over and get out of the city without ever coming down. And you spent a lot of your time on your housetop. So here we have the mountains and wilderness. We also have here to see Daniel 9:27. Many people are familiar with this. Most people are familiar with this that study prophecy. And come on, there we go. Daniel 9:27. And he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, but in the middle of the week he shall bring an end to the sacrifice and offering, and on the wing of the abomination shall be one who makes desolate. There's the abomination of desolation. It's just worded funny here. Notice it just says in the middle. It doesn't give you an exact time. Okay, it's not midway. I mean, it's not perfectly in the middle. We've gone here a number of times, but skip over to Daniel 12. Daniel 12, at that time, Michael shall stand up. That's when Michael and Satan go to war against each other, and we're going to be doing that in the next teaching in Revelation. But Daniel 12 is basically in the second half. And it says, from the time that the daily sacrifice is taken away, that's the abomination of desolation. And the abomination of desolation is set up. I told you it was. There shall be 1,290 days. That's an extra 30 days. The abomination of desolation happens 30 days before the midpoint of tribulation. Tribulation will start on Yom Kippur. The midpoint is just about Passover. 30 days before that is Purim, which is a day to celebrate, goes back to Queen Esther, but to celebrate Israel's being saved out of total annihilation. Interesting, because that's what this is. When they see the abomination of desolation and a remnant, about a third, no, it's time to go to Petra. We still haven't answered the question, why is it Petra? Where else do we want to go? We're in Daniel, so we might as well go back one verse to 11, chapter 11, and look at 40 and 41. This is a wars of the north and the south, and a lot of this is history. But starting in 40, it becomes prophecy. And at the time of the end times, the king of the south shall attack him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind. Listen, not everybody is going to be on the Antichrist side the whole way. He's just going to be beating them up. And the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind with chariots and horsemen with many ships, and shall enter the countries, overwhelm them, and pass through them. He shall enter the glorious land. Is that Australia? Is it Brazil? United States? No, it's Israel. That's why they best be gone. Many countries shall be overthrown, but these shall escape from his hand. Edom, Moab, and the prominent people of Ammon. Guys, this is Jordan. This is where Petra is. Satan cannot get his hands on that area because that's what God is protecting. Let's go to, see where else I want to go. I think just one more place here. Yep. Isaiah 16. Isaiah 16. Send the lamb from the ruler of the land, from Selah to the wilderness, to the mount of the daughter of Zion. See that word Selah? It means rock, which is the same. It's a place in Edom, perhaps an early name for Petra. Petra it also means rock. Selah, the rock city of this. This is Petra. This is why we say that the remnant of Israel is going to be heading to Petra. To the mount of the daughter of Zion. And it shall be as a wandering bird thrown out of a nest. That's what the remnant is going to be like. So shall be the daughters of Moab in the fords of the Oman. Take counsel, execute judgment, make your shadows like the right night in the middle of the day. Hide the outcast. Hide them away. Do not betray him who escapes. God's telling the people there, hide them. Don't betray them. Let my outcasts dwell with you, O Moab. Be a shelter to them in the face of the spoiler, the Antichrist. For the extortioner is at an end. Devastation ceases. This is the end of tribulation. That quick. I mean, this is a couple verses. The oppressors are consumed out of the land. In mercy, the throne will be established, and one will sit on it in truth. That's Messiah. In the tabernacle of David, judging and seeking justice and hastening the righteousness. So Israel is going to be taken out or taken to Petra for times, and half a times, just before Satan is cast down to the earth. All right. I thank you guys for watching. God bless you. Next week, we'll come back and pick up Israel heading to Petra and the rest of Revelation 12. Thank you. Bye-bye.